Puji?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna. So, verse number, two verses together in this, 23 and 24 is the most important process of bhakti. Hare Krishna. So, we'll start with, so we'll go paragraph by paragraph, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, we'll try.
Yeah, okay.
Hare.
But okay. Then the
I think,
general
Prabhu, we will see the summary like that.
ah,
If we read, maybe it will take more time. Right, Prabhu?
okay.
Take the we'll see the summary.
Uh, After reading this one, no, Guruji, I mean the
After reading the
purport
translation, after the translation, if you read the purport,
translation.
maybe if you
Uh,
read the purport, I think that.
Purport of two pages. It is. Uh,
So we can
okay.
read para by para. We can read
Yeah. Okay.
better.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes,
Okay.
we'll
Thank
do
you,
it.
bro. Hare Krishna. So, verse number 23 and 24 goes like this. Hare Krishna. Sri Prahlada Vaja. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pada Sevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atma Nivedanam Idi Pumsar Pida Vishnu Bhakti Chenna Valakshana Kriyade Bhagavatyadha Bhagavatyadha Tanmanya Adhidamuttamam Sri Prahlada Vaja Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pada Sevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atma Nivedanam Idi Pumsarpida Vishnu Bhakti Chennavalakshana Kriyade Bhagavatyadha Tanmanye Adhitamuttamam. Hare Krishna. Translation purport by His Divine Grace Abhijarana Ravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. Prahlada Maharaj said, hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, forms, qualities, paraphernalia, and pastimes of Lord Vishnu, remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship with his 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming his servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto him. In other words, serving him with the body, mind, and words. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service. One who has dedicated his life to the service of Krishna through these 9 methods should be understood to be the most learned person, for he has acquired complete knowledge. Hare Krishna. Purport, first paragraph I read. Purport. When Prahlad Maharaja was asked by his father to say something from whatever he had learned, he considered that what he had learned from his spiritual master was the best of all teachings, whereas what we had learned about diplomacy from his material teachers, Shanda and Amarka, was useless. Bhakti uh, Bhakti Preshanubhava
Paresanubhava.
Pare
Paresanubhava.
Pareshanubhavo
Paresanubhava.
Viraktir
Prati Anyantracha.
Nyatraja. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.2.42. Thank you, Guruji. This is the symptom of pure devotional service. A pure devotee is interested only in devotional service, not in material affairs. To execute devotional service, one should always engage in hearing and chanting about Krishna or Lord Vishnu. The process of temple worship is called Archana. How to perform Archana will be explained herein. One should have complete faith in the words of Krishna, who says that he is the great well-wishing friend of everyone. Suhridam Sarvabhutana. A devotee considers Krishna the only friend. This is called Sakhyam. Pumsarpita Vishnu. The Word Pumsa means by all living entities. There are no distinctions permitting only a man or only a Brahmana to offer devotional service to the Lord. Everyone can do so. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.32, Striyo Vaishya Tadha Shudras Te Api Yanti Param Gatim. Although women, Vaishyas and Shudras are considered less intelligent, they also can become devotees and return home back to Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I will read, Prabhu.
Yeah.
After performing sacrifices, sometimes a person engaged in fruitive activity customarily offers the results to Vishnu. But here it is said, Bhagavati Adda, one must directly offer everything to Vishnu. This is called sannyasa, not merely nyasa. A Tridandi sannyasi carries three dandas, signifying kaya, mano, vakya, body, mind, and words. All of these should be offered to Vishnu, and then one can begin devotional service. Fruitive workers first perform some pious activities and then formally or officially offer the results to Vishnu. The real devotee, however, first offers his surrender to Krishna with his body, mind, and words, and then uses his body, mind, and words for the service of Krishna as Krishna desires.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Madaji, Ratna Madaji or anybody continuing?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes. Thank you, Madaji.
Hare Krishna. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Tagore gives the following explanation in his Tattva. The word Shravana refers to giving a rural reception of the holy name and descriptions of the Lord's form, qualities, mm, entourage, and pastimes as explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and the similar authorized scriptures. After orally giving such messages, one should memorize these vibrations and repeat them. Kirtanam, Smaranam means trying to understand more and more about the Supreme Lord. And Pada Sevanam means engaging oneself in surviving the lotus feet of the serving the
Serving
lotus feet
lotus feet.
of the Lord. Sorry, Prabhuji. According to the time and circumstances. Archanam means worshipping Lord Vishnu as one does in the temple. And Vandanam means offering respectable obeisances. Manmana Bhava Madbhakta Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru. Vandanam means Namaskuru. Offering obeisances or offering prayers. Thinking oneself to be Nitya Krishna Dasa. Everlastingly, a servant of Krishna is called Dasyam. And Sakyam means being a well-wisher of Krishna. Krishna wants everyone to surrender unto him because everyone is constitutionally his servant. Therefore, as a sincere friend of Krishna, one should preach this philosophy, requesting everyone to surrender unto Krishna. Atma Nivedanam means offering Krishna everything, including one's body, mind, intelligence, and whatever one may possess. One
Thank you.
sincere Hare Krishna.
Okay. Sarveda Madaji or anybody continuing? Hare Krishna. Can read.
Okay, I will read.
Okay.
One sincere endeavor to perform these 9 processes of devotional service is technically called bhakti. The word adha means directly and should not likely the karmis who perform pious activities and then formally offer the result of Krishna. That is karma kanda. One should not aspire for the result of his pious activities, but should dedicate oneself fully, then act piously. In other words, one should act for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu, not for the satisfaction of his own senses. That is the meaning of word Adha directly. Hare Krishna.
Okay. And next who is reading? Somebody? Okay. Anyabhilashita shunyam.
Yeah, you can read.
Jnanam karmadi anavridam anugulenya krishnanushilanam bhaktir uttama. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire and material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. One should simply satisfy Krishna without being influenced by fruitive knowledge or fruitive activity. The Gopala Tapani Upanishad says that the word bhakti means engagement in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not of anyone else. This Upanishad describes that bhakti is the offering of devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. To perform devotional service, one should be relieved of the bodily conception of life and aspirations to be happy through elevation to the higher planetary systems. In other words, work performed simply for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord without any desire for material benefits is called bhakti. Bhakti is also called nishkarma, or freedom from the results of fruitive activity. Bhakti and nishkarma are one of the same platform, although devotional service and fruitive activity appear almost the same. The 9 different processes enunciated by Prahlada Maharaj, who learned them from Narada Muni, may not all be required for the execution of devotional service. If a devotee performs only one of these 9 without deviation, he can attain the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sometimes it is found that when one performs one of the processes, other processes are mixed with it. That is not improper for a devotee. When a devotee executes any one of these 9 processes, that is nava-lakshana, this is sufficient. The other 8 processes are included. Now let us discuss these 9 different processes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
We have 9 devotees, so 9 process. One devotee can read one. It's okay,
Hare
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare
Shall I read,
Krishna.
Prabhu?
Yeah,
Yes.
everybody can take one turn. Somebody can start from Shravanam, and every devotee will read one process.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes,
Shall I
Mataji,
read,
please.
Prabhu?
Yeah,
Yes,
Mataji.
Shravanam. Hearing of the holy name of the Lord, Shravanam, is the beginning of devotional service. Although any one of the 9 processes is sufficient in chronological order, the hearing of the holy name of the Lord is the beginning. Indeed, it is essential. As enunciated by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Cheto Darpanamarjanam, by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one is cleansed of the material conception of life, which is due to the dirty modes of material nature. When the dirt is cleansed from the core of one's heart, one can realize the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ishvara Paramakrishna Satchidananda Vigraha. Thus, by hearing the holy name of the Lord, one comes to the platform of understanding the personal form of the Lord. After realizing the Lord's form, one can realize the transcendental qualities of the Lord, and when one can understand his transcendental qualities, one can understand the Lord's associates. In this way, a devotee advances further and further toward complete understanding of the Lord as he awakens in realization of the Lord's holy name, transcendental form and qualities, his paraphernalia, and everything pertaining to him. Therefore, the chronological process is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. This same process of chronological understanding holds true in chanting and remembering. When the chanting of the holy name, form, qualities, and paraphernalia is heard from the mouth of a pure devotee, His hearing and chanting are very pleasing. Srila Sanatana Goswami has forbidden us to hear the chanting of an artificial devotee or non-devotee. Hearing from the text of Srimad Bhagavatam is
Next.
considered the
Continue,
Hare
Mataji,
Krishna.
continue. Yeah, continue. Sorry.
Hearing from the text of Srimad Bhagavatam is considered the most important process of hearing. Srimad Bhagavatam is full of transcendental chanting of the holy name, and therefore the chanting and hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam are transcendently full of mellows. The transcendental holy name of the Lord may be heard and chanted accordingly to the attraction of the devotee. One may chant the holy name of the Lord Krishna, or one may chant the holy name of Lord Rama or Narasimhadeva. Ramadimurti Shikala Niyamena Tishtan. The Lord has innumerable forms and names, and devotees may meditate upon a particular form and chant the holy name according to his attraction. The best course is to hear of the holy name, form, and so on from a pure devotee of the same standard as oneself. In other words, one who is attached to Krishna should chant and hear from other pure devotees who are also attached to Lord Krishna. The same principle applies for devotees attracted by Lord Rama, Lord Narasimha, and other forms of the Lord. Because Krishna is the ultimate form of the Lord, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, it is best to hear about Lord Krishna's name, form, and pastimes from a realized devotee who is particularly attracted by the form of Lord Krishna. In Srimad Bhagavatam, great devotees like Shukadeva Goswami have specifically described Lord Krishna's holy name, form, and qualities. Unless one hears about the holy name, form, and qualities of the Lord, one cannot clearly understand the other processes of devotional service. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommends that one chant the holy name of Krishna, Param Vijayade Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. If one is fortunate enough to hear from the mouth of realized devotees, he is very easily successful on the path of devotional service. Therefore, hearing of the holy name, form, and qualities of the Lord is essential. In Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.11, there is this verse, Tat Vag Visargo Janataga Viplavo Yasmin Pradishlogam Abadvayati Api Namani Anantasya Yasho Niktaniyat Shravanti Gayandi Grananti Sadava. Verses describing the name, form, and qualities of Anantadeva, the unlimited Supreme Lord, are able to vanquish all the sinful reactions of the entire world. Therefore, even if such verses are improperly composed, devotees hear them, describe them, and accept them as bona fide and authorized. In this connection, Sridhara Swami has remarked that a pure devotee takes advantage of another pure devotee by trying to hear from him about the holy name, form, and qualities of the Lord. If there is no such opportunity, he alone chants and hears the Lord's holy name. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much. Okay.
Hare
Next.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, second one.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Kirtanam. The hearing of the holy name has been described above. Now let us try to understand the chanting of the holy name, which is the second item in the consecutive order. It is recommended that such chanting be um, performed very loudly in Srimad Bhagavatam. Narada Muni says that without shame, he began traveling all over the world, chanting the holy name of the Lord. Similarly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has advised, Trunadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. A devotee can very peacefully chant the holy name of the Lord by behaving more humbly than the grass, being tolerant like a tree, and offering respects to everyone without expecting honor from anyone else. Such qualification make it easier to chant the holy name of the Lord. The process of transcendental chanting can be easily performed by anyone, even if one is physically unfit, classified lower than the others. Devoid of material qualifications are not at all elevated in terms of pious activities. The, the chanting of the holy name is beneficial. On aristocratic birth, on advanced education, beautiful bodily features, wealth, and similar results of pious activities are all necessary for advancement in spirit. All unnecessary for advancement in spiritual life. For one can very easily advance simply by chanting the holy name. It is understood from the authoritative source of Vedic literatures that especially in the age Kali Yuga, people are generally short-living, extremely bad in their habits, and inclined to accept methods of devotional service that are not bona fide. Moreover, they are always disturbed by material conditions and they are mostly unfortunate. Under the circumstances, the performance of other processes such as yajna, dana, tapa, and kriya, sacrifices, charity, and so on, are not all possible. Therefore, it is recommended Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Namaiva Kevalam. Kalau nasti eva gatir anyatha. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting of the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other way. Simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one advances perfectly in spiritual life. This is the best process for success in life. In other ages, the chanting of the holy name is equally powerful. But especially in the age Kali Yuga, it is most powerful. Kirtanadi eva Krishnasya mukta sarva mukta sangha param vrajate. Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, one is liberated and returns home back to Godhead. Therefore, even if one is able to perform other process of devotional service, one must adapt the chanting of the holy name as the principal method of advancing in spiritual life. Yajnaik Sankirtana Prayer Yajanti hi Sumedasaha. Those who are very sharp in their intelligence should adopt this process of chanting the holy name of the Lord. One should not, however, manufacture different types of chanting. One should adhere seriously to chanting of the holy names as recommended in the scriptures. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. While chanting the holy name of the Lord, one should be careful to avoid 10 offenses. Scroll down, Prabhu. From Sanat Kumara, it is understood that even if a person is a severe offender in many ways, he is freed from offensive life if he takes shelter of the Lord's holy name. Indeed, even if a man being is no better than two-legged animal, he will be liberated if he takes shelter of the holy name of the Lord. One should therefore be very careful not to commit offenses at the lotus feet of the Lord's holy name. The offenses are described as follows. To blaspheme a devotee, especially a devotee engaged in broadcasting in the glories of the holy name. B. To consider the name of the Lord Shiva or any other demigod to be equally as powerful as the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No one is equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, nor is anyone superior to him. C. To disobey the instructions of the spiritual master. D. To blaspheme the Vedic literatures and literatures compiled in pursuance of the Vedic literatures. E. To comment that the glories of the holy name of the Lord are exaggerated. F. To interpret the holy name in a deviant way. G. Deviant way. G. To commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy name. H. To compare the chanting of the holy name to pious activities. I. To instruct the glories of the holy name to a person who has no understanding of the chanting of the holy name. J. Not to awaken in transcendental attachment for the chanting of the holy name, even after hearing all these spiritual injections. Scriptural injections. There is no way to atone for any of these offenses. It is Hare Krishna. It is therefore recommended that an offender at the feet of the holy name continue to chant the holy name 24 hours a day. Constant chanting of the holy name will make new free of offenses.
One free of offenses.
One free of. Sorry, Prabhuji, I am reading from the mobile.
Okay.
Offenses.
And
then he will gradually be elevated to the transcendental platform on which he can chant the pure holy name and thus become a lover of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yeah. Same I read. It is recommended that even if one commits offenses, one should continue chanting the holy name. In other words, the chanting of the holy name makes one offenseless. In the book Nama Kaumadi, it is recommended that if one is an offender at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, he should submit to the Vaishnava and be excused. Similarly, if one is an offender in chanting the holy name, he should submit the holy name and thus be freed from his offenses. In this connection, there is the following statement spoken by Daksha to Lord Shiva: I did not know the glories of your personality, and therefore I committed an offense at your lotus feet in the open assembly. You are so kind, however, that you did not accept my offense. Instead, when I was falling down because of accusing you, you saved me by your merciful glance. You are most great. Kindly excuse me and to be satisfied with your own exalted qualities. One should be very humble and meek to offer one's desires and chant prayers composed in glorification of the holy name, such as Ayi Mukta Kulair Upasya Manam Upasyamanam and Nivrutta Tarsair Upagiya Manad. One should chant such prayers to become free from offenses at the lotus feet of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I'm sorry
Thank you.
for the mistakes.
Okay, next one. Can read. Please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I will read.
Yes.
Smarana. After one regularly performs the process of hearing and chanting, and after the core of one's heart is clean, smaranam, remembering, is recommended. In Srimad Bhagavatam 2.1.11, Sukadeva Goswami tells to Parishit Maharaj, King Parishit Maharaj, enan nirvidhyamananam ichhatam agutta bhayam yoginam nripa nirnittam hare namanukultanam. O King, for great yogis who have completely renounced all material collections, for those who desire all material enjoyment, and for those who are self-satisfied by the dint of transcendental knowledge, constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord is recommended. According to the different relationships with the Supreme Personality Godhead, there are varieties of Namani Kirtanam, chanting of the holy name, and thus according to different relationships and mellows, there are 5 kinds of remembering. These are as follows: conducting research into the worship of a particular form of the Lord, concentrating the mind on the subject and withdrawing mind activities of the thinking, feeling, and willing from the all other subjects, concentrating upon particular form of the Lord. This is called meditation. Concentrate on one's mind continuously on the form of the Lord. This is called Dhruva or perfect dictation. And awakening a likening for concentration upon the particular form. This is called Samadhi or trance. Mental concentration upon particular pastimes of the Lord is particular circumstances is also called remembrance. Therefore, Samadhi, trance, can be possible in 5 different ways in terms of one's relationship, especially the trance of devotees on the stage of neutrality is called mental concentration. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Who's reading next?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mother.
May I read? Yes. Pada Sevanam. According to one's taste and strength, hearing, chanting, and remembrance may be followed by Pada Sevanam. One obtains the perfection of remembering when one constantly thinks of the lotus feet of the Lord. Being intensely attached to thinking of Lord's lotus feet is called Pada Sevanam. When one is particularly adherent to the process of Pada Sevanam, this process gradually includes other processes such as seeing the form of the Lord, touching the form of the Lord, circumambulating the form of temple of the Lord, visiting such places as Jagannath Puri, Dwaraka, and Mathura to see the Lord's form, and bathing in Ganges or Yamuna. Bathing in the Ganges and serving a pure Vaishnava are also known as Tadya Upasana. This is also Pada Sevanam. The word Tadya means in relationship with the Lord. Service to the Vaishnava, Tulasi, Ganges and Yamuna are included in Pada Sevanam. All these processes of Pada Sevanam help the advance in spiritual life very quickly. Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji, please.
Hare Krishna. Archana. After Pada Sevanam comes the process of Archanam, worship of the deity. If one is interested in the process of Archanam, one must positively take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and learn the process from him. There are many books for Archana, especially Narada Panjaratra. In this age, the Panjaratra system is particularly recommended for Archana, deity worship. There are 2 systems of Archana, the Bhagavata system and the Panjaratragi system. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is no recommendation of Panjaratragi worship because in this Kali Yuga, even without deity worship, everything can be perfectly performed simply through hearing, chanting, remembering, and worship of the lotus feet of the Lord. Rupa Goswami states, Sri Vishnu Sravane Parikshit Abhavat Vaiyasaki Kirtane Prahlada Smarane Tadangri Bhajane Lakshmi Prudu Pujane Akrurastva Abhivandane Kabi Padirdasyeta Sakya Arjuna Sarvatma Nivadane Belir Habud Krishna Tir Esham Param. Parikshit Maharaj attained salvation simply by hearing, and Sukadeva Goswami attained salvation simply by chanting. Prahlada Maharaj attained salvation by remembering the Lord. The goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi, attained perfection by worshipping the Lord's lotus feet. Pruddha Maharaja attained salvation by worshipping the deity of the Lord. Akrura attained salvation by offering prayers. Hanuman by rendering service. Arjuna by establishing friendship with the Lord. And Bali Maharaja by offering everything to the service of the Lord. All these great devotees served the Lord according to a particular process, but every one of them attained salvation and became eligible to return home back to Godhead. This is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. It is therefore recommended that initiated devotees follow the principles of Narada Pancharatra by worshipping the deity in the temple, especially for householder devotees who are opulent in material possessions. The path of deity worship is strongly recommended. An opulent householder devotee who does not engage his hard-earned money in the service of the Lord is called a miser. One should not engage paid brahmanas to worship the deity. If one does not personally worship the deity but engages paid servants instead, he is considered lazy, and his worship of the deity is called artificial. An opulent householder can collect luxurious paraphernalia for deity worship, and consequently for householder devotees, the worship of the deity is compulsory. In our Krishna consciousness movement, there are brahmacharis, grihasthas, vanapasthas, and sannyasis. But the deity worship in the temple should be performed especially by the householders. The brahmacharis can go with the sannyasis to preach, and the vanapasthas should prepare themselves for the next status of renounced life, sannyasa. Grihastha devotees, however, are generally engaged in material activities, and therefore, if they do not take to deity worship, their falling down is positively assured. Deity worship means following the rules and regulations precisely. That will keep one steady in devotional service. Generally, householders have children, and then the wives of the householders should be engaged in caring for the children, just as women acting as teachers care for the children in a nursery school. Grihastha devotees must adopt the Archana Vidhi or deity worship according to the suitable arrangements and directions given by the spiritual master. Regarding those unable to take to the deity worship in the temple, there is the following statement in the Agni Purana. Any householder devotee circumstantially unable to worship the deity must at least see the deity worship, and in this way he may achieve success also. The special purpose of deity worship is to keep oneself always pure and clean. Grihastha devotees should be actual examples of cleanliness. Deity worship should be continued along with the hearing and chanting. Therefore, every mantra is preceded by the word nama. In all the mantras, there are specific potencies of which the Grihastha devotees must take advantage. There are many mantras preceded by the word nama, but if one chants the holy name of the Lord, he receives the result of chanting nama. Now, it's nama or nama, Prabhu?
Nama.
Namaha.
Namaha, sir.
Nama.
Namaha. Many times. By chanting the holy name of the Lord, one can reach the platform of love of Godhead. One might ask, then what is the necessity of being initiated? The answer is that even though the chanting of the holy name is sufficient to enable one to progress in spiritual life to the standard of love of Godhead, one is nonetheless susceptible to contamination because of possessing a material body. Consequently, special stress is given to the Archana Vidhi. One should therefore regularly take advantage of both the Bhagavata process and the Pancharatriki process. Deity worship has two divisions, namely pure and mixed with the fruitive activities. For one who is steady, deity worship is compulsory. Observing the various types of festivals such as Sri Janmashtami, Ramanavami, and Narasimha Chaturdashi is also included in the process of deity worship. In other words, it is compulsory for householder devotees to observe these festivals. Now, let us discuss the offenses in deity worship. The following are offenses: to enter the temple with the shoes or being carried on a palanquin. Second, not to observe the prescribed festivals. Third, to avoid offering obeisances in front of the deity. To offer prayers in an unclean state, not having washed one's hands after eating. To offer obeisances with one hand. And to circumambulate directly in front of the deity. To spread one's legs before the deity. To sit before the deity while holding one's ankles with one's hands. To lie down before the deity, to eat before the deity, to speak lies before the deity, to address someone loudly before the deity, to talk nonsense before the deity, to cry before the deity, to argue before the deity, to chastise someone before the deity, to show someone favor before the deity, to use harsh words before the deity, and to wear a woolen blanket before the deity, to blaspheme someone before the deity, to worship someone else before the deity, to use vulgar language before the deity, to pass air before the deity, to avoid very opulent worship of the deity, even though one is able to perform it, to eat something not offered to the deity, to avoid offering fresh fruits to the deity according to the season, to offer food to the deity which has already been used or from which has first been given to others. In other words, food should not be distributed to anyone else until it has been offered to the deity. To sit with one's back toward the deity, to offer obeisances to someone else in front of the deity, not to chant proper prayers when offering obeisances to the spiritual master, to praise oneself before the deity, and to blaspheme the demigods. In the worship of the deity, these 32 offenses should be avoided. In Varaha Purana, the following offenses are mentioned: to eat in the house of a rich man, to enter the deity's room in the dark, to worship the deity without following the regulative principles, to enter the temple without vibrating any sound, to collect food that has been seen by a dog, to break silence while offering worship to the deity, to go to the toilet during the time of worshipping the deity, to offer incense without offering flowers, to worship the deity with forbidden flowers, to begin worship without having washed one's teeth, to begin worship after sex, to touch a lamb, dead body, or a woman during her menstrual period, or to put on red or bluish clothing, unwashed clothing, the clothing of others, or soiled clothing. Other offenses are to worship the deity after seeing a dead body, or to pass air before the deity, to show anger before the deity, and to worship the deity just after returning from a crematorium. After eating, one should not worship the deity until one has digested his food, nor should one touch the deity or engage in any deity worship after eating safflower oil or hing. After eating safflower oil or hing. These are also offenses. In other places, the following offenses are listed: to be against the scriptural injunctions of the Vedic literature, or to disrespect within one's heart the Srimad Bhagavatam, while externally falsely accepting its principle; to introduce differing shastras; to chew pan and betel before the deity; to keep flowers for worship on the leaf of a castor oil plant; to worship the deity in the afternoon; to sit on the altar or to sit on the floor to worship the deity without a seat; to touch the deity with the left hand while bathing the deity; to worship the deity with a stale or used flower; to spit while worshipping deity; to advertise one's glory while worshipping the deity; to apply tilaga to one's forehead in a curved way; to enter the temple without having washed one's feet; to offer the deity food cooked by an uninitiated person; to worship the deity and offer bhoga to the deity within the vision of an uninitiated person or non-Vaishnava; to offer worship to the deity without worshipping Vaikunta deities like Ganesha; to offer worship to the deity without worshipping Vaikunta deities; to worship the deity while perspiring; to refuse flowers offered to the deity; to take a vow or oath in the holy name of the Lord. If one commits any of the above offenses, one must read at least one chapter of Bhagavad Gita. This is confirmed in the Skanda Purana Avantikanda. Similarly, there is another injunction stating that one who reads the 1,000 names of Vishnu can be released from all offenses. In the same Skanda Purana, Reva Kanda, it is said that one who recites prayers to Tulasi or sows a Tulasi seed is also freed from all offenses. Similarly, one who worships the Salagrama Shila can also be relieved of offenses. In the Brahmanda Purana, it is said that one who worships Lord Vishnu, whose 4 hands bear a conch shell, disc, lotus flower, and club, can be relieved from the above offenses. In the Adi Varaha Purana, it is said that a worshipper who has committed offenses may fast for 1 day at the holy place known as Shaukarava and then bathe in the Ganges. In the process of worshipping the deity, it is sometimes enjoined that one worship the deity within the mind. In the Padma Purana, Uttarakanda, it is said all persons can generally worship within the mind. The Gaudamiya Tantra states, for a sannyasi who has no home, worship of the deity within the mind is recommended. In the Narada Pancharatra, it is stated by Lord Narayana that worship of the deity within the mind is called Manasa Puja. One can become free from the four miseries by this method. Sometimes worship from the mind can be independently executed. According to the instruction of Avirhotra Muni, one of the Nava Yogendras, as mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, one may worship the deity by chanting all the mantras. 8 kinds of deities are mentioned in the Shastras, and the mental deity is one of them. In this regard, the following description is given in the Brahma Vaivarta Purana. In the city of Pratishtana Pura, long ago, there resided a Brahmana who was poverty-stricken but innocent and not dissatisfied. One day, he heard a discourse in an assembly of Brahmanas concerning how to worship the deity in the temple. In that meeting, he also heard that the deity may be worshipped within the mind. After this incident, the Brahmana, having bathed in the Godavari river, began mentally worshipping the deity. He would wash the temple within his mind, and then in his imagination, he would bring water from all the sacred rivers in golden and silver water pots. He collected all kinds of valuable paraphernalia for worship, and he worshipped the deity very gorgeously, beginning from bathing the deity and ending with offering arati. Thus, he felt great happiness. After many years had passed in this way, one day within his mind, he cooked the nice sweet rice with ghee to worship the deity. He placed the sweet rice on a golden dish and offered it to Lord Krishna. But he felt that the sweet rice was very hot, and therefore he touched it with his finger. He immediately felt that his finger had been burned by the hot sweet rice, and thus he began to lament. While the Brahmana was in pain, Lord Vishnu in Vaikunta began smiling, and goddess of fortune inquired from the Lord why he was smiling. Lord Vishnu then ordered his associates to bring the Brahmana to Vaikunta. Thus the Brahmana attained the liberation of Samipya, the facility of living near the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Hari Hari.
Okay, 6. Somebody?
Hare Krishna Vaji.
Yes, Mataji.
Vandanam. Although prayers are a part of deity worship, they may be considered separately like the other items, such as hearing and chanting, and therefore separate statements are given herewith. The Lord has unlimited transcendental qualities and opulences, and one who feels influenced by the Lord's qualities in various activities offers prayers to the Lord. In this way, he becomes successful. In this connection, the following are some of the offenses to be avoided. 1. To offer obeisances on one hand. B. To offer obeisances with one's body covered. C. To avoid one's back to the deity. To show one's back to the deity. D. To offer obeisances on the left side of the deity. E. To offer obeisances very near the deity. 7 also?
Yeah. Okay, I think nobody
Somebody
else
else is there, Prabhuji?
Read
Okay.
Mataji, read.
No,
Okay.
continue.
Okay, 7. Dasyam. There is the following statement in regard to assisting the Lord as a servant. After many, many thousands of births, when one comes to understand that he is an eternal servant of Krishna, one can deliver others from this universe. If one simply continues to think that he is an eternal servant of Krishna, even without performing any other process of devotional service, he can attain full success. For simply by this feeling, one can perform all 9 processes of devotional service. 8. Sakhyam. In regard to worshipping the Lord as a friend, the Agastya Samhita states that a devotee engaged in performing devotional service by Shravanam and Kirtanam sometimes wants to see the Lord personally, and for this purpose he resides in the temple. Elsewhere there is this statement, "O my Lord, Supreme Personality and eternal friend, although you are full of bliss and knowledge, you have become the friend of the residents of Vrindavana. How fortunate are these devotees!" In this statement, The word friend is specifically used to indicate intense love. Friendship, therefore, is better than servitude. In the stage above, Dasirasa, the devotee accepts the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a friend. This is not at all astonishing, for when a devotee is pure in heart and opulence of his worship of the deity diminishes as spontaneous love for the personality of Godhead in manifested. In this regard, Sridhara Swami mentions Sridhama Vipra, who expressed to himself his feelings of obligation, thinking, life after life, may I be connected with Krishna in this friendly attitude. 9. Atmanivedanam. The word Atmanivedanam refers to the stage at which one who has no motive other than to serve the Lord surrenders everything to the Lord and performs his activities only to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a devotee is like a cow that is cared by its master. When cared for by its master, a cow is not in anxiety over its maintenance. Such a cow is always devoted to its master, and it never acts independently, but only for the master's benefit. Some devotees therefore consider dedication of the body to the Lord to be Atma Nivedanam, and as stated in the book known as Bhakti Viveka, sometimes dedication of the soul to the Lord is called Atma Nivedanam. The best examples of Atma Nivedanam are found in Bali Maharaj and Ambarish Maharaj. Atma Nivedanam is also sometimes found in the behavior of Rukmini Devi at Dwaraka. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Hari Bol.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Krishna Shivana Prabhuji, Nandal Pranam Prabhuji.
Thanks to all assembled
Wonderful.
Vaishnavas.
Yes.
Long purport, Prabhu. And I think it is very self-explanatory. And Prabhupada has written in detail. So I think devotees will understand. But there are some things, maybe there is some doubts in few things. If devotee have any doubts, maybe they can ask, just if there is something they feel that they are not able to understand. Otherwise, it should be, I think, Prabhu, self-explanatory. Because here you can see, Prahlada Maharaj, he is explaining this, and this sloka was quoted by Prabhupada many times. And very important for bhakti is nava-vidha bhakti. This is a foundation for progressing in bhakti. So Prahlad basically had two kinds of teachers. One is materialistic teachers, which are Sukracharya's son, and also spiritual teacher, which is Narada Muni. Narada Muni enlightened Prahlad Maharaj with spiritual knowledge. So when Hiranyakasipu asked, what did your teacher taught? Hiranyakasipu was thinking about Sukracharya's son. But whereas Prahlad Maharaj was seeing actually, when Hiranyakasipu asked which teacher, he was thinking about spiritual teacher. So what he learned from his spiritual teacher, Prahlad Maharaj is saying here, Sharanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pada Sevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atmanirvam Iti Pumsar Pita Vishnu Bhakti's chain Navalakshana, 9 process Navalakshana. Kriyate Bhagavati Adda Tanmanye Aditam Uttamam. So he is explaining what he learned from his spiritual teacher Narada Muni. The Prabhupada, of course, gives a very, very elaborate purport, giving so much detail about the holy name, hearing offenses against the holy name, and also Archanam, the deity worship, and how the householder should worship the deities, and also the offenses in the deity worship, and so much detail. All the nava-vidha 9 process, Prabhupada is very, very elaborate, and it is self-explanatory. If at all there is some doubt, we can discuss. Otherwise, if there is nothing, then maybe we can proceed to the next verse, the coming session next tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
One doubt, Prabhuji. In this Archanam, so many offenses in different Puranas. When I read, no, Prabhuji, in that almost end of these offenses, I read to offer worship to the deity without worshipping Vaikunta deities like Ganesha.
Yeah. So this is like Mataji, we are understanding in the Vaikunta also there are deities. Okay, so the Ganesha, actually the form here in material form is actually it's a demigod, but whereas actually in the Vaikunta it is a Vishnu form. So if you see Vaikunta form, you have seen the Goloka chart map. If you have that map, you can see there are also represented deities, same, but they are actually the expansions of Lord Vishnu. Okay, so that is the understanding. But when the material world, within this 14 planetary system, the Devatas are actually demigods. They are not Vishnu's expansion. They are Jivatmas. So people may misunderstand or mistake which is Ganesha. So let's say Prabhupada did not normally recommend, because we are in the material world, Prabhupada generally says, there is no need to worship demigod. At the same time, you can see Prabhupada also writes, you should not blaspheme the demigods also. You see the last one?
Yes,
You should
Prabhuji.
not blaspheme also. Blaspheming demigods also offense only. So,
Yes.
if you go to Chaupati temple, no, in Mumbai, you can see Ganesha, no, in the entrance of the temple only, the top there is Ganesha. Also, if you go to Govardhan Eco Village, in the entrance of the Govardhan Eco Village, you can see big Ganesha Murti. So,
Yes,
if you have, Prabhupada writes in one more place, if you have the understanding that Krishna is the supreme and they are all the servant of Krishna, then there is no harm to show your obeisances or something, you know. But if you don't have the understanding and think they are independent or supreme, then it is an offense. Like we see in the holy name also, no, to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name. Because I read in one Prabhupada purport very clearly, Prabhupada says, if you know that their position and then you know offer your obeisances or this thing, it is not wrong. And also very clearly written, you should not blaspheme them because they are higher than you. So it is same thing like that. If you know the CEO, you cannot go and blaspheme your manager, right? If you know are very close to the CEO, manager of the company, you cannot go and like show disrespect to this one. The example Prabhupada is like if there is a superintendent of police coming and police constable is coming in the in the public area, you cannot just go to the police constable, put the garland and say that you are the highest person in the police department. Then the superintendent will feel insulted. Who is at the back? You know, why he is telling like that. At the same time, because you know the superintendent, you cannot slap the constable. Right? That's so that's why we should not actually offend the demigods. But at the same time, if you know the proper understanding that Krishna is the supreme and everybody is serving the supreme Lord in different capacity, in that way it is not harmful to offer your prayers or worship to them. There is no harm. But the thing is your proper mood. And this Vaikunta Ganesha refers to, the Vaikunta, there are also a lot of deities in same the demigod's name, but they are Vishnu Tattva. But in the material world, within the 14 planetary system, they are Jiva Tattva.
Okay, and about the Sadashiva also Vaikunta deity or what, Prabhuji?
Yeah. Sadashiva also, he's Vaikunta form. Yes, he's the Sadashiva. No, he's also, because he's also there only. He's an expansion of Lord Vishnu. Yes. So there are like two expansions, personal expansion and separated expansion. So anything personal expansion of the Lord is actually Vishnu Tattva. Any personal expansion. All, the Sadashiva, or you say this Vaikunta Ganesh, these are all personal expansions of the Lord. But separated expansion means Jiva Tattva, Jivatma. All the separate expansion. Swamsa, Vibhinnamsa. Right? So Swamsa are there in Vaikuntas. But they are not in the Golakunda, they are in the Vaikuntas. So they are Swamsa. Vibhinnamsa is actually separated Jivatmas like we are. And within the Jivatma category only comes all the demigods which are worshipping in this 14 planetary system. That 33 crore demigods, they are coming in the Jivatma category.
Okay, it's actually in these offenses are written in Vaishnava etiquettes also. That's that time onwards I got confusion. Then I thought in this temple in front also I have seen some pictures. Then I thought maybe Vyasdeva, while he was giving the discourse about Srimad Bhagavatam, Ganesha ji was writing with the full speed. Maybe because of that worshipping, I was having that doubt. That's a project. Now it's everything is clear. Yes, thank you so much.
One thing very important, Mataji, if you see, there are 4 Sampradayas, Sri Vaishnavas, Rudra Sampradaya, Kumar. If you see Sri Sampradaya and all, they're very more strict. They will not enter Lord Shiva temple also. But Prabhupada was not very strict. Prabhupada said, no, if you have the proper understanding, you can always offer the prayer, no, Vancha Kalpataripascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitana Paneva Vaishnavya Namo Namah, and I pray to them to give Krishna Bhakti. Okay, so Prabhupada was very very adjustable in this thing that you can with proper mood, you can, if you have the proper tattva, if you have that understanding, you can always see them in a proper angle. But to think them they are the supreme, that is offense.
Because so many, like even some YouTube class when we are hearing, in that down, people are actually commenting this ISKCON people, I don't know, this live is going on, whether it is apt for talking about this. No problem,
So,
bro.
no problem.
Okay. Then people are actually telling ISKCON people are always like blaspheming demigods. They are always against Lord Shiva, all these things. But
That is not correct.
yeah, people are actually their concept is that we are against demigods and we are blaspheming everything. But as Prabhuji told us, Srila was actually is very like. As
Practical.
you said, no, Prabhuji, Vanchakalpada, because we are in a material world, we are connecting while in this our we are going for duty, we are mingling with so many people. So materialist people, we are actually in contact with more out of 24 hours, maybe 8 or more than 8 hours, we are in connection with the materially contaminated people. We are also not that much, we are, but again, connection with the materially contaminated people. So then we are like paying obeisances, considering that they are the subordinate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In that way, paying obeisances is
Right way.
it's a good no, Prabhuji, right way, no, Prabhuji.
Yes, right
Yeah.
way, right way. That's not considered an offense.
Especially
Yeah,
respect always.
yeah, respect
So they say respect and worship. Worship for Krishna, respect for demigods. This is a correct understanding.
demigods.
Yes,
Yes,
Respect
Prabhuji.
for demigods and worship for Krishna.
exactly.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Bhakti also is only reserved for Krishna, the devotion. No? Bhakti is not for demigods also. Bhakti means devotional service. That word is specifically reserved only for Krishna. Prabhupada writes that also.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that
Prabhu's
correct
one lecture
understanding
also I
is
heard. Yes,
respect and
Prabhuji.
worship.
Yes, you should
Respecting
respect.
is that Vancha Kalpataripascha, and worshipping is actually the Supreme Lord with love.
Exactly.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah,
So
also we
one,
can see Mataji from other scriptures, also other holy scriptures like Bible, Quran, also everybody accepts only there is one Supreme, right?
yes, Prabhuji.
So in
That
that way, if you see, this is correct. This is the right understanding. There is only one Supreme Lord, and all others are his servants. Maybe it is
servants.
Devatas or maybe Jivatma or whoever.
Yes, correct.
Ekala Ishwara Krishna or Sabritya.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Exactly.
Because
That is
I
what.
have seen one photo altar. This one devotee from Delhi. His altar. When I went to my brother's house in Delhi, so I have seen like in that all demigods. He was keeping down all demigods and doing all this. Then I asked my brother that this actually properly they are doing. Then the same question I asked, why demigods they are keeping in the altar. Then that Prabhuji was telling that I am taking first asking permission because they are great Vaishnavas. Then considering them as below subordinate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are great Vaishnavas. So in that way, in that mood, he is keeping in the altar. I don't know, but the altar, but his mood is great. He's actually he's
Yeah.
giving
Krishna
preaching
is
and
supreme.
in that
Mataji,
mood only he was keeping.
in this, actually, there are two kinds of category of people in ISKCON. Some people accept this kind of worship, some people don't accept also. Even in
Yes,
Bangladesh, few devotees have like that. So some Vaishnavas don't take it very serious. Some Vaishnavas, they don't feel good why you are keeping it. Different, no? So people have two different kind of understanding on this. So
yes,
some accept, some don't accept. Some follow the same ISKCON standard. No, ISKCON, they don't have any deity, demigod, right, in this altar, right? So
yes.
somebody follows same like that, same the home also, same thing, we have Panchatattva Narasimhadev and we have like that. But Prabhupada said no need to worship them. They are very clearly written also. Many places in Bhagavatam he said no need to worship them. He said like maybe if you have read, if you remember, Prabhupada read no need for any, I can take specific reference and give also. But respect is of course, respect because they are higher than us. No, higher than us, you should respect. See, suppose tomorrow by chance, you should, in your mood, you should always respect. What happens when you know Krishna is supreme and somebody worshiping demigod, then you say, these people are worshiping demigod. You should not like deride other people. Deride means not see them low. Oh, they are. So our mood should be respect. So even respect means, so whom you are giving respect, somebody above you, right? Like your father.
Exactly,
Like
yeah.
that you should respect. They are directly associated with Krishna as their servant. They are serving the Lord. Okay, so in that respect, we can always, and Prabhupada given the pranam mantra also, no? Like what pranam mantra you should offer the respect. So in that way, we should properly treat, and that is good example, no? Like when the superintendent of police come and the constable comes in front of him, we cannot go and garland the, like that is worship, offer the garland to the constable and tell you are the supreme in the police department, the superintendent will become insulted, right?
Yeah, it's an offense.
Also, the police constable also will feel embarrassed because my manager is the backside. This person is glorifying me. What will happen to me? No, that is like that. I understand. But at the same time, you cannot, because you are very close to the superintendent, you cannot disrespect this constable. He has his role.
Yes, Guruji.
So I think this is very sensitive. We should be very
Yes,
mature
Guruji.
enough to handle. Like we should respect. We should never disrespect any demigod for that care.
Yeah,
Son.
because
But
now,
at the
Guruji,
same time,
like,
Prabhupada says no need to worship them exclusively.
yes, Guruji. But this, like in regard to this Lord Shiva's case, he is actually great Vaishnavana Ythashabhura Prabhuji. If he, like before I was actually, when I was like before coming in ISKCON, we all were worshipping different demigods and without having
Everyone.
proper knowledge.
Everyone.
Yeah, I was like a ardent devotee of Lord Shiva. But I heard from so many lectures, if we are like strict, like good in your all devotion, everything properly in that mood, Lord Shiva will definitely guide us to the Supreme
Krishna,
Personality
Lord
Godhead.
Krishna. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, Prabhu. So in that mood, if we are even in that mood, considering as a guru or a great Vaishnava,
Yes.
like respect, we
Yeah.
can respect, and some also keeping Lord Shiva. Even our altar is also Lord Shiva, but we are because he only guided me. I'm damn sure about that project, that he, because he only directed me to this Lord
Even our
Krishna's
Purushottam
mercy.
Prasad Prabhu, no? You know the Purushottam Prasad Prabhu.
Yes,
He was also very devotee of Shiva, no? Before coming to ISKCON. And one
yes,
thing, Lord Shiva, we should never say is as demigod. Because
yes,
he is
Prabhuji.
not demigod, right? We know, no, from Brahma
Sadashiva.
Samhita
Yes,
also, he is like Lord Vishnu only. But all others are demigods. But even including Lord Brahma. But Lord Brahma also, sometimes when there is not sufficient Jivatma available, Krishna himself becomes Brahma. So we do not know. Sometimes also, sometimes Brahma may be Jivatma, according to the available.
It says
Yeah.
that Brahmaloka is also when Brahmaloka is last living, but Sadashiva Loka is still it is 50. This in the spiritual world.
Yeah, and one thing is there in that connection. Lord Shiva is not demigod. He is actually Lord Vishnu. It's like the milk turned into curd. So, but generally, to generalize, they are saying demigods. But Lord Shiva will be, as as like almost like Supreme Lord only. But it is like milk transformed into curd because he is associating with the Durga Devi, the material energy. So in that one, he is like the milk. You put some tamarind, it becomes curd. Like that, the pure milk, Vishnu, when he is contacting with material energy, then he becomes Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva is exceptional of all the demigods. And there is nothing wrong, like if you are like showing the gratitude to Lord Shiva because he has shown the right path, like Vaishnavana Meta Shambhu, because we are also worshipping Vaishnavas, like our Guru Parampara. So in that way, if you are seeing the Lord, Lord Shiva also, there is nothing wrong in that, as long as you are having that proper mood and showing the gratitude. And again, people are there, different. When you, the concern what Prabhupada had is, like once you introduce one God in the this one, then people will bring many more. That's why you want to avoid totally everything. Otherwise, there is no harm, like you keep Lord Shiva or something. Because once you will allow one, then people will confuse or they will interpret their own way and they will think, okay, this God also no problem. This, and we have so many pictures in altar. And again, you will not get time to worship everybody. You do not know, you'll be confused. So in that way, it is always good. So the Lord Shiva is actually Lord Vishnu only. So in the form of, he just contact with the material energy. So Lord Vishnu without a contact with the material energy is Lord Krishna. Lord Vishnu in contact with material energy is Lord Shiva.
Yes.
So like that. So we have to understand that he is not coming under demigod category also.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you so much for the wonderful knowledge, Guruji.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Krishna Hari Bol.
Of course, there are a lot of offenses. Maybe we'll get a little bit afraid also, no? Reading so many offenses.
Yes.
Also, Prabhu lastly says that if one clause is there, we have to at least read one chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. That is also
very important. Yes,
we have to.
Very important.
If you done any offense, you have to read Bhagavad Gita one chapter. That's also means my understanding is it is also good new understanding. Yes.
Yes, correct. And also one more I read that even we are chanting these 10 offenses of holy name, Prabhupada said still you should not stop chanting. You should continue offense. Only beg forgiveness from the holy name if you at all you commit any offense. Like you are going to Vaishnava, if you are same way. So that also is giving hope that even sometimes we commit knowingly or unknowingly some offense, still we should not stop chanting. You should continue chanting and ask beg forgiveness for the offenses against the holy name. So there is no question of stopping any time. And even same with applies to deity worship also. Because practically in Kali Yuga, to err is human. Krishna also knows, no? Without error, we cannot perform anything. So we have to ask forgiveness only. That is the solution. And continue our process.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Guruji. Thank you. Wonderful class, Guruji, today.
No, there is no class
Wonderful
today.
purport.
Only
Yeah,
we are
wonderful. Yeah,
reading
wonderful purport. Everything is brought in this. 10 offenses, everything. Aparadhas and everything. Thank you, Guruji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So thank you all devotees for joining today's reading session. Please do join tomorrow also. So we'll chant 3 times Hare Krishna Mahamantra for Shivana Prabhuji as well as all the devotees who are present today for everybody's spiritual progress. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Ram
Hare.
Ram Hare
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 Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Hare
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 Hare.
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Ram
Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram Ram
Rama
Ram
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha
Krishna,
kripasindhubhyascha
Krishna,